Hey, welcome to Bear Mountain today. You may notice that this looks suspiciously like the same stuff this guy was wearing in the last two videos. Well, I gotta tell you, it's been a beautiful sunny day, so we thought we would catch up on a number of different topics. And this is the last one we want to do. It's just a couple of hacks in the greenhouse or hoop house to kind of, help out with a few things. The number one thing is people ask, or have asked, is what is the deal with this little piece of plastic? So one of the things that folks have been asking about when they see pictures that we've done a couple of videos from inside the hoop house is they've noticed that there's like this little level of plastic on the outside, even though the actual hoop house itself is vented. And what we've done with our number of our hoop houses is that we put on these little side shields, and they come up to about, maybe roughly 18 to 20 inches. And what we found by putting this is the same type of greenhouse plastic. It's actually a scrap from a previous house, typically is what we use. When we're going to put the actual skin on itself, we'll put this guy on first, if we're smart. It can still be done afterwards, even if you haven't. But the idea is this extra plastic forms a better seal down at the base and gives you just a little bit of protection from cold air that may be just creeping on the ground itself. So this extra foot or so here when we're venting up the hoop house itself keeps colder air from just directly rushing in when you open up the house onto the plants itself. The cooler air will come in and start to settle down, but air up here, a foot or so off the ground, particularly on a sunny day, is not necessarily as cold as the air itself that's coming right off the ground, and that affords us a little protection. It also just makes it easier on your back when you're shutting it down for the day, because all you got to do is come down to here instead of having to bend all the way down and get it all the way sealed down to the ground. So it makes it a lot easier to do this.
But like you can overlap them. So
yeah, you can overlap them. That's what I try to do, is make certain that I overlap. So there's a few inches of overlap all the way down. And it's just, we found it really kind of helps out in the wintertime and the early spring. It also kind of keeps, if you're getting a really heavy rain event and you get a lot of splashing, this will kind of take a good chunk of it as well before, just splashing in on your plants itself. And also, with the exception of cats, many other things, it's a little more of a barrier, something more they got to crawl under, crawl over to get into something, and sometimes it's a little bit of a deterrent. Not a heck of a lot, but just
not much.
So this one's a real easy thing. Just put it on both sides of the house, and it'll last as long as your overall plastic itself. So when you change the plastic out, you just take part of this one and make it your side shield.
What do you do in the spring and summer?
You can, if you want. You can push this all the way down, and keep it as maximum open as possible. So, you can keep it down to maybe 3 or 4 inch, or, raise it up, depending on what you're trying to do.
Just we have to let go of the wiggle wire on the end
to
get it all the way flat if you wanted to.
Well, if you wanted it all the way flat at the very, very end itself, but typically what we found is if we have the ends all the way open, we have this pushed all the way up, you can push this down and still maybe it ends up, as you go down and push it all the way down, you're going to find that, for the vast majority of the tunnel, it's only going to be maybe 6 to 8 inches up if it's that far, which isn't that big of a deal.
And the black...
So no, I wouldn't disconnect it.
Black fabric at your foot?
This is something that, is just like one of those duh moments for kind of controlling weeds and grass for creeping inside the hoop house itself. It's a double layer. I took like a 4-foot piece of the woven landscape fabric and folded it over, and it's staked in the ground. And this is kind of a barrier to keep things from creeping in, like grasses and things of that nature. And so it also just kind of keeps the side of it clean, so you have less maintenance work to do.
Yay.
Yep.
What do you think, Webb?
He just wants to be fed. Okay, let's go inside and take a look at something else. Okay, one of the other things that we do is there's a variety of different ways we attach our frost blankets over our plants. In this hoop house, what we found is that we tend to have overnight residents in here of the feline persuasion. And what we found happened if we just put our fabric cloth over our actual hoops itself and just kind of left it, draping, it was a great opportunity for playful young kittens and older cats to kind of fool around with it. And we found them a number of times where they had pushed the fabric cloth off the plants, or actually decided to roll around on the plants and that sort of thing. So we wanted to remove that temptation. Now there's two ways that we could have gone about it. The first way would be to just use and make a whole bunch of clips. So you don't need to buy the expensive clips. You can use some 3/4 inch poly tubing. I have some scrap piece here. You cut about a 2 to 3 inch piece off. And then if you've got a sturdy pair of snips, you can just cut yourself all the way through. I'll just drop that here. And these, it just opens up basically. And this will form a pretty tight clip around the actual, got some spiderweb stuff in here, the actual hoop itself. So let me just give you an example of that. Matter of, you open it up with your hands and you can just put it on and you can see it forms a pretty tight clip. Now, the one thing about this is, you can move it up and down, okay, if it's left on, so it does work that way. But what we found is it's actually a little more cumbersome to do something where you have to move fabric cloth up and down all the time. But if you were trying to clip on some things, like you were doing like a light agribon out in your garden, you were just trying to, protect things from maybe some insects or just give it a little bit of a boost. It's not something you maybe move on and off all the time. This is a great alternative. Okay, so I talked about we had some cat problems in here. So what we did is we went back to a typical way we put together a low tunnel out in the field. Not as robust with just, but the same principles apply. Basically what we did is we created a string loop at the bottom of each hoop on each side. Then we took a piece of baling twine and basically looped it through both sides. So by pulling on the twine itself through a loop, we could simply tie this off with just a half hitch. And the whole idea is that these strings will then hold the fabric cloth up until we need it, and then when we need it, we can just simply move it down. And you can see how the strings hold it against the hoop itself. And that's all there is to it. So it actually makes it, when you come in to put the fabric cloth down, it makes it pretty fast. It also makes it pretty fast when you're taking it up. And it will keep it up above the plants without, making a mess.
Part of the hoop house dance.
It is, but it actually, the string system takes a little bit of time to set up. But what we found is since we're using these fabric cloths all the time, things are coming up and down and up and down. It's worth the effort for the couple of months that we have to do it. So these are just a couple of easy, quick hacks that we wanted to show you in the hoop house, and something you can use in the garden all the time are these clips. And if you ever lose them, that's the beauty of it. You didn't lose anything that cost you much money.
We actually use them on netting too.
That's right, netting. We use it on light things like what is that, Agribon 17 for getting early warmth to plants. We use it on insect netting. We use it on bird netting. We use it on a lot of things. And so, like I said, and so if you lose, a clip, it's like, well, I didn't lose that much. And you'll probably eventually find it anyway, when your lawnmower hits it. Yeah. Just kidding. So anyway, that's it. And just kind of want to thank you guys for watching today. And as always, stay safe out there and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.